Jeremy Blake here in sunny Bucks, and
Bob Morell here in sunny Cranbrook. No, not actually. I'm in Biddenden on my landing.
you are. And we're going to take you through the first in a series of things we're recording, nice and short, and they're all top tips really, kicking off with how to motivate yourself and others. So let's talk about this. So this is all from my bearing, isn't it, Bobby?
It certainly is. And I just want to point out that you've very, very brilliantly used an image that we last used in marketing about 17 years ago. So it's great the way you've been able to repurpose something and use it for this. So there's a great example of how to motivate yourself. Look back at some old stuff and use it now.
Well, recycling doesn't die, does it, Bobby? And it's so important to use things that we've paid designers for in the last century. So let's kick off. And it is about breaking habits and beginning new ones. So it just came to me, and there it was. So number one, be grateful for what you have and often. And we know that, if you think there's 10,000 things you used to be able to do, and now there's 1,000 things you can't, there's still 9,000 things that you can do every day. So there's still a lot that you can do and a lot that you can have. So don't think about what you can't do, think about what you can. And just a few ideas, because there's a chap that my wife and I go and visit. We can't see him anymore. We're going to start writing to him. He always writes to us, but we never write back. But now we're going to. And we're very grateful to some of the things he's taught us. So that's one of my tips. You might even get a letter going instead of a card. Look at what you have and be grateful, as I've said. There's plenty that you should no longer take for granted. And this is an old tip, and it's very true. There's lots of people around you, I'm sure, in your lovely village, Bob. There's people who need your help more than others. And so this is a good thing to stop the insular focus on yourself. Stop worrying about yourself. Start trying to help other people. Do you
Very
agree,
good.
Mr. Morell? Yeah.
I certainly agree.
So
There's lots of that going on.
as we move on, if you had the time, because a lot of people are procrastinators, are they not? And what they say is that I just need to get around to it. Otherwise, I can't do it. And this is a picture of a round to it. These are lovely products that Zig Ziglar used to sell. This is a round to it. Guard it with your life. Tuits are hard to come by, especially the round ones. It will help you become a much more successful person. And for years, you've heard people say, I'll do this when I get around to it. Now that you have one, you can accomplish all those things you put aside until you got this round to it. So we know that time is no longer really a factor. And yes, come in, Bobby.
Well, I was going to say, as some of you will know, I've been procrastinating for years about wanting to write a book. And I've got a sort of half a book written about Jeremy and my time at drama school. And for years, I thought it would be a bestseller. And I thought one day I'll sit down and I'll get round to finishing it. And sadly, I haven't finished it yet. But now I've got no excuse. I've got to finish that book. Although on Radio 4 the other day, they said a lot of terrible books are going to be written over the next few years. And I think they may be right. But anyway, carry on.
Let your readers be the judge of that, Bob.
Well, thank you.
So what do you want to do? What do you need to do? These are different questions. I think what you want to do may often be a distraction. What do you need to do? Well, I got a hell of a lot done at the weekend, and maybe you did too, because really today is day one. But there's things that you'll want to do and things that you need to do, and I think getting the balance of those two things is right. And also, why should you bother? Sometimes you need the motivation, the energy. If you get a reason to do something, it's a hell of a lot easier to go ahead and do it. So starting small, there's the famous quote. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step, does it not? It's so obvious, but people look at tasks and see them as huge, great things and don't break them down. And
ironically, nobody's traveling 1,000 miles at the moment. So that's a particularly accurate quote, because that's the only way you can get 1,000 miles right now, is to actually put one foot in front of the next.
Exactly, there's no planes, and you might achieve way more than 1,000 miles. Apparently Canada has lots of open spaces yet to be discovered. So yeah, lots of places for you to go. Procrastination, we don't want that. We want a proactive nation. So think of what you're going to do that's actually proactive behavior. Procrastination is, there's no time for it anymore. Self-discipline is what I'm saying. Now, let's introduce you, if you don't know it, Parkinson's Law. Norman Parkinson was an essayist. He wrote wonderful things, but he came up with a law which is work expands to fill the time available for its completion. Now, this is the danger with procrastinators. You think, oh, you, Bobby, you think I've got all this time to write my book, and you go, I'll start Wednesday. And then when you get to Wednesday, you think, oh, do you know what am I worried about? I'll start Friday. So this is the combination of being aware that you need to start small when you've got Parkinson's Law in the background, perhaps tempting you to other things. Anything to add?
Well, I would say also when you're working from home, you've got to remanage your time anyway. So you're always looking at different ways to manage your time. And now we're at home, it's not the same as when you're in the office or when you're out and about. So you're then thinking, okay, I need to be more disciplined about allocating time for different tasks because there is naturally more flexibility around. So I think that's an important distinction.
Yeah, you'll still get the same kick of completing things. And I think that's the point. If you've put certain things off, starting them now, the time excuse is gone. So your own rewards and recognition. Now, look at that photo there. That is a Parmesan cheese with incredible pasta inside. Now, I'm not going to be able to get hold of that because only professional chefs can cook that, but I could still maybe get a hold of a little bit of Parmesan if I'm lucky and reward myself after a hard day's work with some of the finest cheese on top of some pasta. So what do you deserve as your delayed gratification? Because if you are constantly rewarding yourself, because we've seen images of fridges, and people are going to be a lot more tempted to reward themselves too often. And certainly booze sales, Bob was telling me this morning, there was no booze available anywhere near you, and people must be stockpiling their rewards.
Thank God for custard creams. That's all I can say. But anyway, carry on.
Well, I want you to monitor the intake of those, Bob. It's fun, it's food, it's drink, it's games, lots of other distractions, and that's the point. Distraction, I think, becomes a decent reward. When you have got hours of things that are planned in for you, distraction is sort of more tempting. But now that you haven't, you've got to reverse that focus. Let's go outside. Now, not everyone can go outside, and too many people have been outside. I know you want to, but you can't say. That's another one. Now you might. Now my wife got up at the crack of dawn, Bob. Oh, you speak. Go on then. I was going to tell you my little tiny story.
This is amazing.
Yeah, Tashwa, it's not that amazing, but she woke at 5 a.m. and went downstairs and watched the sunrise. And she just couldn't sleep. She's one of our virtual teachers, folks, who's planned, and running a virtual school. And she wanted to get everything ready, make sure the systems were set up, all the classes, the marking. And she was up at the crack of dawn, and she said, that's the first sunrise I've watched at my own home for ages. We try and catch them on holidays. So if you can't go outside, you can still kind of see your day in and see your day out. What were you going to say, Bob?
Good.
Were you going to say anything else?
No, that was good.
Mm-hmm. So, laughter. We need a bit of laughter, do we not? Bob and I both share a love of the man on the right, Frankie. No.
Don't. Stop it.
So we're big fans of Frankie Howard. Joan Rivers and Bill Hicks. Now, I believe somebody wrote a guide the other day of the top 100 comedies available on Netflix or whatever. There is humor out there which you can access in films, podcasts, radio. There is so much to mine. So you might need to just trigger that laughter. So my big tip to motivate yourself and others is start to laugh, and actually you'll start to realize and lighten up a bit. Things become a lot more motivating from that standpoint.
There are
Mr.
lots
Morrell.
of comedians now doing little short pieces on Twitter. So Ricky Gervais does one at 6 o'clock every day. Tom Allen does a little piece to camera as well. Richard E. Grant is doing with nail and eye quotes every day too. Bob Mortimer does his train guy, which is fantastic. So there are quite a few comedians now doing little bits of comedy, which are fantastic. So go for it.
Lots of good stuff to access. BBC Sounds app as well. There's even more to mine. So here we go, folks. Be grateful for what you have often. If you have the time, get around to it. You have. Start small. Your own rewards and recognition. Not too much living in the cupboards. Let's go outside if you can, even by looking or getting some air. And laughter triggers more laughter. So what else can we help you with? Well, Bob and I and the team, we're all devising various ways to help clients. And this is some of our free support. So more free things. We've got a Facebook page where we do morning things. We have LinkedIn where we're sharing resources. That's our blogs that we send out. Think Reality, bi-fortnightly, I think we are now. Getting out various things that Bob and I spend a bit more time to write, considered thoughts and opinions. We've got 2 YouTube channels, lots of films there, free entertainment. Our new book is out. It's just landed. It's on Kindle. And Joe Bourne and I, one of our team, we recorded, oh, there you are. Good. Thanks, Bob. The Perfect Storm. This is a motivational book about ways to drive your business forward. And actually, we wrote it going way back with the first recession. Not the first recession, but one in our lifetime, 2007, 2008. And this is full of lots of ways to get yourself going again. We are available, are we not, Bob? Pure gold. You are gold. We're available for coaching, consultancy, training, and development inquiries. We are here to help people who are stuck. Let us help you. So this is the first in a series of little tips we're going to give.
If there's anything we are, it is innovative and available. We are those 2 things combined, innovative and available.
Yeah, quite often not quite so closely aligned, but they are now. So thank you very much for tuning in. If you want to send me an email, there's my email. If you want to give us a bell, give us a bell. So you've had Bobby Morell and Jeremy Blake Reality Training. Get motivated. Many thanks.
Bye.